they can also create opportunities for new growth and development. For example, wildfires can clear out old growth and create space for new plant growth, while insect outbreaks can kill off weakened or damaged trees, providing habitat for a variety of species. Another important aspect of the interaction between organisms and the forest environment is the role of keystone species. Keystone species are species that have a disproportionate impact on the ecosystem relative to their abundance. For example, beavers are considered a keystone species in many forest ecosystems because their dam building activities create habitat for many other species, including fish, amphibians, and birds. In addition to keystone species, some species may have a particularly important role in maintaining the health and diversity of forest ecosystems. These species are known as ecosystem engineers, as they create or modify the physical environment in ways that benefit other species. For example, woodpeckers create cavities in trees that can be used by many other species for nesting or shelter. Human impacts on the forest environment also include the introduction of non-native species, which can have significant negative effects on native species and the overall health of the ecosystem. Non-native species can outcompete native species for resources, disrupt food webs, and alter ecosystem processes. In some cases, non-native species can become invasive and spread rapidly, leading to significant ecological and economic impacts. To manage the interaction between organisms and the forest environment, conservation and management. Efforts need to take into account the complex interactions between different species and the ways in which disturbances and human impacts can affect these interactions. Conservation efforts may include the establishment of protected areas, restoration of degraded habitats, and the management of invasive species. Sustainable forestry practices that prioritize biodiversity and ecosystem health can also help to maintain the balance of forest ecosystems while providing economic benefits. Moreover, the interaction between organisms and the forest environment is also influenced by the effects of climate change. Rising temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, and increased frequency and severity of natural disasters, such as droughts and floods, are all expected to have significant impacts on forest ecosystems. For example, changing climate patterns may affect the timing of plant and animal life cycles, leading to mismatches between species that rely on each other for food or pollination. Climate change can also affect the distribution and abundance of species in forests, as well as the types of forests that are able to thrive in different regions. As a result, forest ecosystems may undergo significant changes in the coming decades, with potential impacts on biodiversity, carbon storage, and other ecosystem services. To address the impacts of climate change on forest ecosystems, conservation efforts may need to focus on promoting climate resilience, such as through the protection of carbon-rich forests or the restoration of degraded lands. Additionally, efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate the effects of climate change will be crucial to maintaining the health and diversity of forest ecosystems in the long term. Finally, the interaction between organisms and the forest environment also has cultural and social dimensions. Forests are often valued for their aesthetic, recreational, and spiritual qualities, and are important cultural and historical sites for many indigenous and local communities. As such, conservation and management efforts need to take into account the social and cultural significance of forests, as well as the ecological and economic benefits they provide. Additionally, the interaction between organisms and the forest environment can also have economic impacts.